One more. That's Lionel Hampton.
Yeah. You mentioned listening to the Mosaic Decas, and I'm not the only person in the world who had a copy of an LP with a pink cover called Louis Armstrong Rare Items on Decca, for which we have you to thank. Well, we mentioned Sun Ra earlier. Welcome to New York, boys and girls. What do you think makes those Deccas so remarkable? It's a beautiful body of work.
Well, this I think connects with what I was saying before, because the material he was given was, at the time, music publishers had a great influence on the recording industry and what was recorded. Publishers were plugging the song sheets, had big sales, and people don't remember that. People had pianos at home, and people would, there were small bands in each little town, and sheet music was a seller, and then they also wanted to get songs played on the radio. Of course, they wanted to get them recorded. So Jack Kapp was running Decca, and Jack he was not at all stupid musically. He was very good, but they had things that were given. And Fats had the same thing. Stuff was handed to him that he'd never seen before, and recorded it. With Louis, it was literally because the big band, they had to do some rehearsing of the arrangements or whatever, and arrangements had to be written. I think what is happening there is that you get a good cross-section of, we're talking 1935 to 1940 approximately, the logo. With Louis coming back from Europe, the longest time he'd ever been away from the U.S., and the longest time he had not recorded, because he did have one record session in Europe, and those recordings were not released in the U.S. So people haven't actually heard him on record for quite some time. And it was a new thing. So he was ready for being, so to speak, reintroducing himself to an American audience with contemporary material. And this is almost all contemporary. There are a few older songs, but they were revivals, like everything's been done before, which is a beautiful but most of them were contemporary things. So he does, the music goes round and round. He knows what to do with that. And some were done for him, like the one with Gabriel,
I hope Gabriel
likes my music.
Yeah.
There's such a variety, and then beautiful things by Hoagy Carmichael, like Eventide, which is a masterpiece, both for songwriting. It's a very special song, and it has some musical qualities that are unusual, that my old late friend Dick Sudhalter was very specific about, and are beyond my technical musical comprehension, so to speak. But it's and I can't understand why. Maxine Sullivan is the only one, another one I know who recorded it. It's a difficult song, but it's beautiful. Other things, When the Saints Go Marching, which he put on the map, It became an anthem for traditional bands. He put it on the map. So there is his ability to have something handed to him in the studio, and not quite like that, because as I said before, but the arrangements may have been rehearsed by the band without him. I don't think he would come to where they were rehearsing, if they were recording 5 or 6 songs, to have to sit through all that. The band is pretty good, Louis Russell. It's underrated, that band. You know, they do a good job. And they're in tune. And some of the arrangements are very good, especially the ones by Chappie Goulet. Wolverine Blues was one of my favorites. Alexander's Ragtime Band, very good arrangements. Some of them are not. But what makes all those decas special, it's like the cross section of materials. You mean you have standards like I covered the waterfront, and you have all this other things that are, and you have the older things like everything's been done before, and there's some that are even older than that.
In the gloaming.
Yeah, which is another lovely one, and you know, and you see how he takes each song and knows exactly what to do with it. Because you can rest assured that he's the one who decides on the tempos, you know, which tempos are exceptionally significant for anything. Whether you're a classical conductor or whatever, who knows. Folk singer, tempo is all important. And intonation, which Louis is perfect, you know, I mean, he never, I remember being on a radio show with Max Kaminsky and somebody, Tommy Benford and Max Kaminsky, and we were talking about Louis, I played somebody, and Maxie kept saying, he had a Boston accent, he kept saying, perfect intonation, perfect intonation.
I have my own theory about the decas, which I will try out on you. Is that so many of them were, of course, because of the pop material of the period, they were love songs. And that Louis was a romantic. So that there's something, if you handed him a song like True Confession, he felt it immensely.
This is my true confession.
Yeah.
It's a nice song.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a girl singer who does it with Benny Goodman, I think. I forget, was it Helen Ward? I don't know.
Connie Boswell did it.
Connie Boswell did it. It's a nice song.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of a little-known pop song that happens to be good. It's the musically, the tune is nice, the lyrics are nice. Billy did it too, I think, True Confessions. I think she did it.
I don't recognize it, but that's.
There's another one which I love, Sun Shower, and
Yes,
that one Billy did.
yes.
But that Sun Shower is one of my favorite Louis altogether. You know, not just of the decades, but there's something about that, the way he sings and plays it, that to me is like at the, you know, at the peak of what he could do. And it's absolutely, like Max Kaminsky would say, it's perfect from beginning to end. And that's what I would like to have that played at my service or whatever. I want that.
Sun Showers?
Sun Showers.
Okay.
Incidentally, there are also tunes by Louis himself in there, like Red Cap. And I used to think, because the lyric credit for that is Ben Hecht, and I thought it was the Ben Hecht, you know, whom I'm a fan of. For those of you who don't know who he was, I won't go into it because there's too much to say. But he is the author of The Front Page, which became a movie, Michael Friday. Was originally a Front Page movie also, it's an early sounding. But it's another Ben Hecht. I looked him up in ASCAP.
You corrected me on this,
yeah.
for which I was grateful.
I thought so. I'm right in my liner notes to the Mosaic. I have the wrong Ben Hecht in there, but it's a really nice one by Louis. You know, and it's dedicated to there he sings Shoeshine Boy and Red Cup. That's directed at his people. You know,
Working men and women.
Today, we would say, you know, someone would suggest that you know, this Shoeshine Boy is an Uncle Tom song. Bullshit.
Every nickel helps a lot.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, there's a whole lot of discussion about now, but when they did this thing to Kate Smith, poor girl, you know. Okay, that's a whole other subject.
Hold that thought.